Before we get on to Duran, Chelsea, Arsenal in that potential transfer race, LB, why haven't Spurs sacked Big Ange?
Because they're not a serious club. Because they want to believe in the process. Because they want to believe in the PR. I don't know. I mean, this club is 15th in the league after 23 games, and they've not sacked the manager. They don't have a win in the last 5 games. Yeah, what are they? 8 points off of relegation. This is an absolute shambolic season from Tottenham. And you can't use excuses along the lines of injuries, because every team has injuries. My team's got injuries. Arsenal have got injuries. Every team's got injuries. They're not 15th in the league. Yeah. I think Ange has unfortunately lost it. I say unfortunately because I saw him last year playing at Spurs and I thought, you know what? Fair dues. This guy's bringing a bit of fresh air into the Premier League. All out attack. Fair dues, mate. But unfortunately, you need more than that in the Premier League, and he ain't got it. And to be 15th after 23 games, the fact he's not being sacked is crazy. Now, we can speak all about the owner. I think Daniel Levy, for me, is the worst owner in the Premier League. I have him worse than the Glazers. But Pochettino did all right. Redknapp did all right. Yeah. Well, Conte had him 4th. They didn't have him 15th. So how he's not been sacked is insane. It's absolutely crazy. And I just do not think you can use injuries. I mean, look at the starting 11 that they played against Leicester. That team's more than good enough to get 3 points against Leicester. And they lost at home again. Now, this is crazy. I don't know whether they're just waiting to see what happens in the cup games, because, of course, he's come out and said, I will win a trophy in the second year. And now they're in a semi-final and they're winning 1-0. So maybe he's just going to be like, we'll see. But they're 15th, mate. That's really, really bad. Yeah, how many games they lost? They've lost 13 games in the Premier League. They've lost the same amount of games, yeah, as Ipswich Town, a newly promoted football club. And we're not in like October or something here. We're going on for February. I think it's a madness. I think the only reason he still got that job is because they beat Liverpool in the first leg. And it would not surprise me one bit if they get beat off Liverpool this week, which I think they will do. Or next week, whatever it is. When is it? Is it next week? When
next week.
Liverpool? Yeah, I think if they get beat off Liverpool next week, I think he's gone. I
can't believe he's still there, man. I can't believe he's still there. Like, real talk, how is this guy still there? They're sitting in 15th. LB's just read out the stats there about who they're competing with in terms of the amounts of wins and losses they've had. They've given Palace their first win of the season, Ipswich their first win of the season. They've lost to Leicester, who are another relegated team. This, for me, is absolutely disgraceful from Ange Postecoglou. And they seem to believe that because he's got his 2 centre-halves out, there's absolutely no other. It's all, oh my God, like he just can't win a game because his 2 centre-halves are out. Mate, it's still the style of play he plays. It's absolutely embarrassing. And Tottenham, just as a whole, are just a joke club that just needs to fold now. They're just a club that need to just fold. Let's just be real. They've tried everything. They've failed everything. They still can't win anything. They sacked Jose Mourinho a day before a final and put Ryan Mason in charge. Daniel Levy's turning the place into a tourist attraction. He's not interested in winning stuff. He just wants to try and qualify for European football. He's tried every manager under the sun going. He's tried the project manager in Poch. He's tried the system manager in Nuno. He's tried the win now manager in Conte. He's tried a CV manager of Mourinho. And now he's tried the style of play in Ange Postecoglou. And it's all fallen down. This is a club that just have the worst mentality. And for me, I just find it hilarious. It's beautiful to see. It's funny. As LB said, they're the only Big Six club that don't win anything. I don't know how they're a Big Six club. They're the Rich Six is what it should be called. They're not big. Let's be real. They haven't won anything. You can't call them a big club anymore. They haven't won anything for this long. It's embarrassing. The last time they won a league, it was in the 60s. The last time they won a major honor, I was 4 years old. I'm 37. Yeah. This is an embarrassing club. And I'm going to say it because I'm an Arsenal fan, but it's true. What have I just said there in that little segment that's absolutely outrageous?
It's facts. And I think you know what pains a lot of Spurs fans the most is that they know all this. I doubt you're going to find many Spurs fans that are sitting here and are going to start beefing you for saying what you just said. Because you're right. It's right. That unfortunately, like I say, I think Daniel Levy, for me, is the worst owner in the league, right? Because I'll tell you why, and I know Terry will disagree, right? But the reason is because the way that they spend money on players is they spend money like a small club. Yeah, they always buy these players to like develop. When was the last time they were out there and bought like a proven, big, huge talent? And don't say Solanke because I've one good year at Bournemouth in the Premier League. Who? They always buy these players like the players that they try and get to then develop into. Like City bought Haaland, yeah. Arsenal bought Rice. United have bought Zlatan over the years. You buy a lot of you bought Onana from Inter Milan. You bought these players. Chelsea again have bought huge players in the past, right?
Mm.
When it comes to Spurs, I always feel that like they buy players to then develop, and that's how like the Brightons and that operate. Listen, the Brightons of this world have to operate like that because they can't go out there and spend 100 million quid on Declan Rice. So they have to go. But there is a reason that they do. That's because they don't have the money. Tottenham have the money. Tottenham are the 8th richest club in the world.
Look at what they spend.
They have the money, bro.
Look at what
they spend it on absolute rubbish, bro. Yeah. If you look at the money, Odebert, yeah, Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, yeah. What we did, they bought Archie Gray. Oh, good signing. No, you're missing the point. The reason they signed Archie Gray is to make him mint, and then they'll sell him if he does become mint. That's what they're going to do. That's their whole mantra of that club is to dare is to go in the transfer market and buy these not shit players, but like these up and coming players and try and get them to be good and then sell them on. Yeah, dare to do is going getting £100 million, splashing it on a player and going, if this doesn't work, we're going to get absolutely cooked. Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah, United wasted the money on Anthony, but they actually tried to get this player. They risked it, and yeah, they don't always work. Sometimes you make transfers and they don't work. It's about actually and they will not do that because that's that. But they still spend the money. They just spend it really, really badly. So I think they are the Spurs fans, yeah, they need to now be protesting, on my opinion, on 2 fronts. One, to get the owner out, and that for me is the priority, yeah. And 2, get Ange out because I just think even with the ownership, even with the squad's not being amazing, they are massively, massively underperforming. The question is though, some Spurs fans might be like, I hear you, LB, I don't back this manager, but we're 1 game away from Wembley final.
So there is certainly that, right? But I understand that as a pushback and an argument. But I'm just going to keep it 100 when it comes to Spurs. I know there are people out there that believe trophies are the pinnacle, and I know that you're fighting towards winning them. But I don't think you can ignore your league form. And what I mean by that, as a typical rule, teams that are 15th and lower in the league over a period of 10 years rarely win a trophy. Teams that are in the top 2, top 4, top 6 regularly have a much higher chance of winning a trophy. So yes, you could win one this year, but you have to look at the balance of probability of progression and the likelihood of winning more. You cannot factor that out. It is stupid to go, we won trophy, everything's okay. Only a simpleton would do that in this case. I'm going to give you some facts here. Since that opening 10-game winning run, right? This is mad, okay? They've played 40 games since those opening 10 games in the league. They have lost 60% of their games since that opening 10.
They beat us 4-0. How did they beat us 4-0, bro? Hey, yo, Arsenal fans, you want to investigate something, yeah? Investigate that game. Because our Spurs come to the Etihad, ended our winning run, our unbeaten run at that stadium for 2 years and beat us 4-0. And you think there's something dodgy going on, right? Investigate that, bro.
Well, so that's it. 60% they've lost since that opening 10-game run. Right?
He's still there. He's still there.
They've only won 42% of their games. That win percentage is a good 20 to 30% lower than it should be. But I'm going to throw this. This makes it horrendous, okay? The last 11 games, okay? So this run that's seen them fall into a relegation fight, 9% win ratio. 1 win in 11, 72% loss ratio. 5 points from a possible 33. And just to give you some context in, and this is why he's got to go. And I'll tell you as to why after I'll give you this out here. Southampton have 1 point in that time. They've played 1 less game, though. Ipswich in that time, 7 points. Leicester in that time, 7 points. Ironically, I think both those teams took 3 of those points off Spurs. Relegation. Wolves have 7 points in that time. Brighton 11. West Ham 12, Everton 13. Like Man United, we've been ripped apart and rightfully scrutinized. We have almost double the points they have in that time, and you've barely seen Spurs mentioned in the media. It's crazy, right? The reason they'll get relegated if Ange stays, in my opinion, is these players were not purchased and they didn't come in with the mindset of we're going to be in a dogfight to stay in the league. I just don't think you can handle it in the right way. I think you need to almost go into the season knowing that could be a possibility, and they're not there. The fact they're keeping him, 9% win ratio in these last 11 games, 42% in the last 40. It is absolutely horrendous.
No, it is. It is, Terry, but they are still only one game away from Wembley. This is why I think they're probably going to wait for that Liverpool game. If they get beat off Liverpool, they might sack him.
I think you're right. What else are they waiting for? Because they would have pulled the plug by now. Because this guy
the thing is just quickly, if he gets sacked now, he's going to turn around and say, "Listen, I'm struggling in the league, because the players." He can come out. He can be like, the players are all injured." And he said, "I was one game away from a cup final, and they sacked me. I told them I'd win a trophy in this second season, and I had him one game away." He can come out there. So I think let him have the game, and then they'll probably sack him after the Liverpool match.
I agree. I think if he gets knocked out, they'll sack him. But do you know what? It would be even funnier for them to win the League Cup and then get relegated. That would just be beautiful. Because the thing is, though, if he wins it, they're going to have to keep him, right? And I don't, maybe their fortunes will turn around. But what I don't like is the excuse of injuries. I know it's played a part, but that 60% loss ratio, many of those 40 games, he's had the majority of his starting 11 available. I know it's got worse, but if you actually look at it on a linear graph, it's just getting progressively worse. And yes, injuries compound it, but it wasn't as though he maintained his start to 70-80% win ratio. It's not like he maintained something similar and then 4 or 5 injuries happened and he dropped off. It's been steadily getting worse for 40 league games. That's more than a whole season of games, and their track, it's crazy. I kind of don't want Spurs to go down. My dad's a Spurs fan. I'd like to see it. I don't want that to happen to them, but them keeping him is crazy. Speaking of crazy.